Hello and welcome back to my IELTS preparation course. As always, I'm your instructor, Joseph Emil, and it's my task to help you, as in every one of the last 6 sessions, to get as high a mark as possible in your IELTS test, whether academic or general, of course. In the 6th session, if you remember, we have started in our writing practice for the writing module of the test, which will be the third paper-based exam, or the third part of your paper-based test. And probably, of course, this is subjectively speaking here, in some opinions, or in some people's opinions, it could be the most difficult part. Why? Because it's open-ended. It depends almost entirely on how you answer. There is no right or wrong, but there are good or bad answers. And we have to try our best here in making the better answer, all right, or not choosing, but making up the better answer. So this is particularly hard in the IELTS test, especially since that, shall we say, the answer can, you can be very good in writing English, okay, in general, okay, or in writing, in the grammar and the vocabulary. You can have the best range of grammar and vocabulary, and you can mess up the IELTS test because you haven't written certain guidelines, or you haven't written according to certain guidelines. I have shown you some of these guidelines in the last session, session 6, especially, and I have covered actually task 1 completely in the general module. Later I will finish the academic first task module, which is very different. The first general task, or the first task in the general module is a letter, while that of the academic module is an analysis of a curve. Regardless, we have gone into the second task, which is similar but not identical in both of the general and academic modules. They're a bit similar. It depends on expressing your opinion or trying to explain something. We have seen the shall we say, some of the expressions used, especially in task 2. We have understood what is meant by an appropriate response. You need to answer the questions given, all right? You have to show that you understand the questions given to you by answering them specifically. If you make an answer to a point that is not written in the answer, this will make you lose marks. So you have to devise an appropriate response. We have also learned how a point is made and how to arrange things. But for now, okay, we are going for devising or organizing ideas. Just a moment here. Anyway, so we were talking about organizing ideas here. It means that we must try to present our ideas in a cohesive manner, in a logical order. Okay? So when you talk about something or the sub-points of your arguments, all right, let's say that bicycles are good. This is the main argument. So you can say that they are cheap, they are economical, okay, and they are environmentally friendly. You have to find something that links those ideas together, that links those paragraphs together. And that means you have to first use linking phrases, of course. I have shown you some, but more importantly, you have to present some sort of logical link between these paragraphs. Anyway, let's read. The key to good, clear writing, we have read this one before, but I'll read it again. The key to good, clear writing is simplicity. Do not start the introduction until you know what you're going to say in the answer. Once you have thought of some relevant ideas, you need to organize them, put them in order. If you produce an answer that presents a list of ideas without development, okay, a logical sequence, you will lose marks. How to approach the task? Okay, so you have probably seen these idea bubbles, okay, or these bubbles that link ideas to, or that list ideas, to be more exact. Okay, I have shown you in a whiteboard on the right how I have made lists of here. If you can remember, I have made a list of some ideas and separated them into 3 groups to represent 3 paragraphs while I was writing a letter. Anyway, the key to, so how to approach the task? Decide which of the ideas in your list are key ideas. So not every idea you think of is will be a key idea or an idea you can talk about a lot. You may not agree on this, so try to argue your case. Anyway, discuss how many of the key ideas you think you could cover in 250 words. Remember, if you go less than 250 words, you will lose marks. If you go over that limit, the chances will increase that you make more and more mistakes. So try to stick to the limit, and as I told you, you can use a word processor while practicing, such as Microsoft Word, to count the number of words of your passage and decide to see whether you have gone above the limit by a lot or not. Take a new sheet of paper and divide it into columns, okay, so that you have one column for each key idea. Discuss what order you think the ideas should go in. Write the key ideas at the top of each column, and then write supporting ideas, okay, in the column. So let's say bicycles are good, so you have a key idea, they're cheap, okay, and another key idea, maybe they are environmentally friendly. Okay, those are the 2 key ideas. You have to support them. If you cannot, find new ones. Okay, so if you can support your ideas, go ahead and write your arguments at the bottom or below each of these key ideas. So one bicycle, or the cost is between maybe $100 and $200, okay, maybe, okay, or no fuel cost, okay. Perhaps you do not need to license this bicycle every week, so no license. All right, so these are some of the supporting ideas that you can use to help develop your key idea, which is cheap. Not your, of course, the bicycle, not your key idea. Anyway, so bicycle is cheap or affordable. Actually, you can write affordable. This is a better word to use than cheap. Okay? So, affordable is a better word to use than cheap. Anyway, environmentally friendly, you can just say that no emissions, right? No traffic jams. Okay, it's very small, so you don't need to, or you will not take up a lot of space on the road, and so on and so on. Okay, so here we are. This is the supporting ideas for your key idea. And think about your own experience. Okay, you have to think about an experience. All right. So you have to think about your experience now and use it to provide examples. Okay, of course, examples here and examples for every one of your arguments are always really easy methods, or not easy, but they are very good methods to gain more marks. The more examples you, not the more, but if you present examples for every one of your arguments, and those examples are convincing, you will earn marks. I have not used this earn marks since the beginning of the course. I've always been saying you will lose marks, you will lose marks. But examples always help. We have also discussed how to do for and against listing. Okay, things for and against here will definitely help you in the academic module. Of course, it will also help you in the general module, but you have, in the academic module, you are more inclined, or you are tasked with presenting arguments and supporting them, which is why this for and against activity is helpful in there. Anyway, should parents be obliged to immunize their children? Okay, immunize here means vaccinate. Okay, just going to write that down. Vaccinate. Okay, to inject vaccines into their children to help them fight certain diseases against common diseases, common childhood diseases, like the measles and the chickenpox, not the smallpox. It's chickenpox. Chickenpox is this simple disease that the children get at a young age. Smallpox, okay, is a very deadly disease that we have gotten rid of. I think in the 20th century, very early in the 20th century. So, chicken pox is not like small pox. Okay, just Google them to find out the difference. Okay, it helps to make the recognize the difference between those two diseases, right? Against common childhood diseases, or do individuals have the right to choose not to immunize their children? Okay, so we will spend some time finding the for and against and all that. Okay, but before doing that, I'll just present you some background information as to why this is actually a question. In the Arab world, vaccination is almost a consensus, or we all agree that vaccination is good, but some people in the United States say that vaccination is actually harmful for the children, and they try not to vaccinate their children. I'm not going to say anything about that, all right? Or I'll be forced to, because there is argument. We have to say those arguments for and against. But that's it. I mean, some people in the United States say that vaccines kill. Okay, vaccines are a government conspiracy, mu'amara. All right, but let's just talk about vaccination. So, vaccines research. I'm just going to say this for. All right, so research proves the benefits of vaccines. All right, so vaccination helps fight off certain diseases. You can also support this point by saying that many diseases, okay, have been eradicated thanks to vaccines. Okay, and you can give an example: smallpox. All right, smallpox. Common childhood disease. Of course, smallpox is not a childhood disease, so maybe this is something that is or many diseases have become not dangerous. All right, we have to pay attention to this childhood diseases. Common childhood diseases are like chickenpox and okay, I've made this mistake right now. Okay, I have not read the question well, which means that the points are deviating from childhood diseases to dangerous diseases. There is a difference. So, for childhood diseases, if you immunize your children against childhood diseases, what's the benefit? There is less risk of maybe of diseases in general. Okay? Maybe since diseases often come in groups. I'm just going to put this in a separate sentence here, in groups. Maybe. Alright? Maybe you can say that the German الحصبة, okay, German measles, and chicken pox are very, maybe, annoying. Or very painful. Okay, they can be painful. I'm not sure. But let's say that they are painful and perhaps even embarrassing to, it's embarrassing to be seen with chicken pox in school. Okay, maybe embarrassing. Right? You can also say, what else can you say here? I mean, if we have these vaccines, why not use them? Right? So you can also link this point, or let's just forget about why not use them here. You can link this point, less absence from school. Right? If you vaccinate your child against these common childhood diseases, there will be less of a chance that he will be forced to become absent from school for 2-3 days, right? What about the against points? Okay, against. Right? You can say that there is nothing better than natural immunity. Okay, I'm not a doctor, so I'm just making things up as I go. Okay, of course, if you link your sentences well, okay, and if you do your best to convince the man of your point of view, okay, remember that these you will, or just a moment. So if you do your best to convince the reader of your point of view, you will gain marks, regardless of whether your points of view are right or wrong. Okay? You are writing to an educated reader who has no background of the topic. Okay? Which means that your opinion is his only source of information. And that means that if your opinion is wrong, the reader should not realize it, and he should give you marks based on your argument rather than whether your points are right or wrong. Okay? Nothing better than natural immunity, and this has proven itself time and time again. Okay? Humanity developed let's think of something else. Maybe vaccines might cause illnesses. Alright? Maybe. Maybe they can, vaccines, but of course I don't know much of the point, and I will actually focus on the pros rather than the cons. Okay? But in the next page, but at least before we go to the next page, you know how to make points for and against any topic. Okay? Vaccines or otherwise. Let's take a look at the next page, where we will see big writing here, 250 words, 274 words to be more exact. And it's written by an examiner, okay, as a model answer. So this answer should take a 9 out of 9. So it's very helpful to take this writing here, not for granted, but as, shall I say, a model answer. There might be other answers, okay, but this is one of them that approaches the topic of vaccines from a certain angle. You can approach it from another angle and also get 9 out of 9, hopefully. Let's read. Some people, now, of course, first we have to write an introduction here, then we have Do individuals have the right to choose not to immunize their children? I made another mistake now, because I didn't read the questions well for the second time. First, should parents be obliged to immunize their children, or do individuals have the right to choose? Right? So the point here is not the benefits and the drawbacks of vaccines. It's actually, should parents be obliged or not? Should we force parents to immunize the children or not? So let's go for the main points here. First, he's presenting an introduction. An introduction to the question, okay, restates the question posed in the test. Be careful not to copy this statement word by word. If you do, these words will be removed from the word counts and they will not be counted. Alright? So, of course, they will also give you a bad image and you may lose more marks. So, you will not, while you will not lose marks for repeating these, you will not lose marks. They will not count towards the words used to count. So instead of 274 here, if you used the introduction here, you can have these as 250 or something. Okay, minus the amount of words here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 25. So this will be 249 words. Okay, if you drop below the word limit, 200, or the word number of words required, you will lose. So try to paraphrase. So some people argue that the state does not have the right to make parents immunize their children. However, I feel the question is not whether they should immunize, but whether, as members of the society, they have the right not to. Do they have the right not to? So here, the introduction restates the question posed in the task. 3. Definitive statement clarifying the writer's opinion with examples. So here, he has rephrased the question by saying, I feel. Okay? So he has written here, I feel, this is my opinion. The question is not whether they should, but if they have the right not to. So he is making a direct, shall we say, he is fighting the idea that parents have the right to not immunize. Okay, he's saying no, they should be forced to immunize the children. So see, preventative medicine has proved to be the most effective way of reducing the incidence of fatal childhood diseases. Fatal childhood diseases. Just a moment. Something like polio, okay? Fatal childhood diseases. By the way, so fatal childhood diseases. As a result of the widespread practice of immunizing young children in our society, many lives have been saved, and the diseases have been reduced to almost zero. I'm talking about childhood diseases. So polio, which is child paralysis, polio. Okay, this was a big problem back in the 1980s, child paralysis or polio, and as a result of vaccination, this disease has been reduced to almost zero. In previous centuries, children died from ordinary illnesses such as influenza and tuberculosis. Influenza, you know it, and tuberculosis in Arabic is as-sul. And because few people had immunity, the diseases spread easily. Diseases such as dysentery were the result of poor hygiene. The these have long been eradicated since the arrival of good sanitation. Now take a look here. He has written sanitation and hygiene. Okay? He has used different words to refer to the same thing, hygiene or cleanliness, personal cleanliness. He has used sanitation and hygiene, and clean water. So that's another expression here. He didn't say clean hygiene and they have long been eradication since the arrival of good hygiene and so on. Nobody would suggest that we should reverse this good practice now because dysentery has been wiped out. The practice here, of course, is sanitation and clean water. So he has given another example of deadly diseases that have been eradicated because of good practice. Okay, so he said that just as dysentery and diseases such as dysentery, just as dysentery has been eradicated because of hygiene, okay, diseases such as influenza and tuberculosis, okay, should also be removed by the use of vaccines. So he has used some sort of comparison. This is perfect. Okay, comparison with historical background to support the argument, supporting arguments with examples. Serious diseases such as polio and smallpox have also been eradicated through national immunization programs. So smallpox and polio is child paralysis, and smallpox and جدري. Okay, this is مش جدري الأطفال, that's the other type, the very deadly type, have also been eradicated through national immunization programs. In consequence, children not immunized are far less at risk in this disease-free society than they would otherwise be. So actually immunizing some children make the people that are not immunized more secure or safer. Okay? And this means that if you stop immunizing your children, you can infect other non-immunized children. So we should actually immunize everyone so that if someone is not immunized, they are still safe. This is a very powerful point. Parents choosing not to immunize are relying on the fact that the diseases have already been eradicated. If the number of parents choosing not to immunize increased, there would be a similar increase in the risk of the disease return. This is a powerful point as well, supporting evidence for argument in favor of immunization with examples. Immunization is not an issue like seatbelts, which affects only the individual. A decision not to immunize will have widespread repercussions for the whole of society. And for this reason, I do not believe that individuals have the right to stand aside. In my opinion, immunization should be obligatory. So he has restated the thing up here. Of course, here he has posed the question, okay, do they have the right? No, they do not. It should be obligatory. So he has restated the question and then said the answer. Or just mention the answer to the question posed above. Okay? So this is an insanely good point. I have never seen such good writing.